This is Emma Sanchez and Michael Paulson, a married couple who lived in Vista, California with their 3 sons. In 2006, Sanchez was summoned to Mexico to meet with Immigration Services. There she was told that she was not allowed to enter the US for 10 years. Sanchez now can only see Paulson and her children on weekends, and they have to drive 80 miles to Tijuana to see her. Mr. Paulson now has to support 2 households in 2 separate countries on a limited budget. This family has been ripped apart by Sanchez's deportation. The couple at one time was even considering divorce just because it would be easier than living so far apart. Sanchez had no criminal record. She was just a mother living with her 3 sons, and that was all taken away from her. There are about 5 million children living in the US who have at least one illegal immigrant parent. Families lose about 70% of their income on average after one parent is deported. These new impoverished children are left to go hungry or rely on social welfare programs to survive. These poor children growing up without parents to guide them are rarely successful in life. Few go to college, and some may turn to a life of crime. Children who are US citizens in some cases are forced to go with their parents to Mexico because they have no one to live with in the United States. In these countries, there is usually a high level of crime that our US citizens are going to be exposed to, and our country should not be forcing our citizens to live in these other countries. Deportation of all 11.3 million illegals would cost around $600 billion, which is an insane amount of money. Facilities where immigrants are processed before they are deported currently only can have 30,000 beds to support the volume of immigrants being deported. To meet Donald Trump's goal of deporting all illegals within 2 years, they would need to be expanded to have at least 300,000 beds. The immigration courts also do not have the resources available at the moment to support this number of deportations under Donald Trump's future policy. The ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, currently only hires 5,000 agents. This amount would have to be expanded to at least 15,000. And a heavy amount of training would need to be expedited to meet this goal so quickly. We currently only deport 400,000 immigrants a year. Jumping from that to about 6 million, 6 million immigrants per year is just a ridiculous amount. This is a graph showing the industries that illegal immigrants make up mostly. As you can see at the top, agriculture is a big one, like construction, leisure and hospitality. Most of these jobs, as in the stimulus materials, Gomez's paintings, most of these people are forgotten about, and these are jobs that not a lot of US citizens strive to do. They're mostly low-skilled jobs, and without the demand, without the want for more jobs from our citizens, if these immigrants are deported, most of these jobs would just disappear, and these industries would take a heavy toll through the loss of these jobs. Ethical dilemmas. Really, the only way to deport all illegal immigrants would be going house to house and asking people for their papers. Our country, if we did this, would look something like Nazi Germany or North Korea, rounding up people to be deported, ripping them out of their houses. And racial profiling would be impossible to avoid because there would definitely be discrimination against Latino communities, mostly searching for illegal immigrants. The environmental effects. There are important rivers that provide water for agricultural lands around the border of the US and Mexico. If we're going to build a wall which cuts off these rivers, the farmland around the U.S. and Mexico border would greatly be diminished. And if we were to put a hole in these walls where the rivers are, then how are we going to stop the immigrants from going through these holes? The area around the Rio Grande is also home to a lot of nature sanctuaries, including the Audubon Society, and the large-scale construction around these areas and the removal of land to put down a wall would destroy many ecosystems in the area. Operation Wetback was authorized by President Eisenhower in the 1950s, and that was only to deport 1 million legal immigrants at the time. Basically what they did is they raided businesses and farms around the area. They rounded up illegal immigrants and they put them on buses and dropped them off on the street sides in Mexico. They did not drop them off where any homes could be. So the result of this was about 100 immigrants died just because they were left on the street. They had nowhere to go and they died from the heat and the conditions they were left in. There were also many reports of beatings by the immigration officers, and many immigrants, just after they were kicked out, they just came back in. About 30% did. And this is Operation Wetback. They're just rounding them up, putting them behind fences, putting them later on buses, and just shipping them back into Mexico. The solution I would propose would be to deport only criminals from the country, and then we have to secure our border. We have to create an effective barrier to prevent illegals from entering our country. And then with illegals that are already in the United States, we don't have to deport them. We have to provide an easier way to grant them citizenship. And we would do this for only immigrants that are already in the US for 10 years, which is a large number of them. That's to prevent immigrants from just crossing the border and trying to get citizenship before the barrier is secure.